Horlicks Network 18, Mission Poshan, Bhavishya Roshan.
Right, welcome back. You're watching Power Breakfast. Let's get a handle on the Asian markets. We're getting in early rates coming in from Hang Seng as well as Shanghai. So just keep an eye out on that. The Hang Seng's opened absolutely flat. The Shanghai index as well down about 0.2%. The Nikkei has maintained the fact that it is in the green on account of a weaker yen. But by and large, we're seeing some weakness come by in most of the Asian markets. Mild mixed moves coming in from Straits, Taiwanese as well as the Japanese index. The SGX Nifty indicated a cut of close to around 26 points at the open, still maintaining the fact that we are likely to open below that 10,600 mark. So we'll keep an eye out on how this pans out. But meanwhile, CNBC caught up with former RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan from the sidelines of the Nomura conference, where Raghuram Rajan spoke about trade, tariffs, US economy and much more. Here's a slice of that very interesting conversation.
At this point, the biggest risk is the combination of rising interest rates and some untoward action on trade. I think it's the perception that with all the leverage that's out there, interest rates rising are already an issue that we'll have to deal with, but that's out there. The great uncertainty is what happens with trade. If we have a trade conflagration in the next few months, that could really hamper the global economy. At this point, the biggest risk is the combination of rising interest rates and some untoward action on trade. I think it's the perception that with all the leverage that's out there, interest rates rising are already an issue that we'll have to deal with, but that's out there. The great uncertainty is what happens with trade. If we have a trade conflagration in the next few months, that could really hamper the global economy. I do think there is benefit in India having a good relationship with China and vice versa, because these are two big countries that can do a lot of activity, of economic activity together. I do think that one of the reasons the countries are trying to form better relationships with each other is because of the unpredictability of the US administration at this point. So there is a catalyst out there which is pushing these countries to talk more together, but I think the fact of their talking is a good thing both for the countries and for the world. It's not coming at the expense necessarily of relationships with other countries. The latest news suggests the US economy is actually strengthening, is doing better, is actually doing quite well for an economy in its 92nd year of job creation. So my sense is the Federal Reserve is on a raising path, which it's not going to step off until it feels it's much closer to neutral. And I think most people would say neutral is between 2.75% and 3% at the short end. That means we're probably looking at 3 rate hikes this year, unless something really untoward happens in Europe or in some of the big emerging markets to create global turmoil. But it has to be really bad, in my view, for the Fed to step off this rate rising path. Certainly June appears baked in, but probably 1 to 2 more this year, after which the Fed may start looking around.
All right, then let's slip into a short break. Come back. We talk about Oil Minister Dharmendra Pradhan, who says rising oil prices is a concern. More of that exclusive conversation when we return. Keep it with Power Breakfast. Let's now shift focus to the debt-ridden cases under the IBC. Market regulator SEBI has relaxed requirements to comply with the delisting norms for companies facing insolvency proceedings. Lata is here with the details. Lata, what does this circular imply?
Well, actually, we are not able to find this circular on the SEBI website. This appears to have come over the weekend, but we could all take notice of it only yesterday evening. Basically, it says the normal delisting process need not be followed for companies that are getting resolved under the IBC. Now, the normal delisting process, you have to do a reverse book building, and you should already have had 90% of the stock. For the remaining 10%, you do. It's elaborate because those 10% can really fleece you and charge a very high price. But now under the IBC, the logic itself is that if the lenders have lost, equity holders don't have any rights, and therefore the delisting rules also cannot give extraordinary rights to minority shareholders, and therefore that process need not be followed. What it says is the process delisting should be mentioned as part of the resolution process. All investors should exit at the same price, minority, promoter, whoever it is, should all exit at the same price, and the exit price will be liquidation value minus dues that are needed to be paid as priority laid down under insolvency code. You know, there is priority for employees, there is priority for tax authorities. After that, whatever is available is all that will be, you know, the total delisting amount.
The big question, will there be anything available?
I don't think, and yesterday already we saw the Bhushans of the world falling. So my sense is that now we are going to see a lot of the IBC cases, investors giving up hope. It can mean quite a big difference to many of the listed stocks.
All right, Lata, thanks a lot for putting that into perspective. We will keep an eye out on all these IBC stocks. But let's move on. Yesterday, India sent its first shipment for LNG from Russia, and the petroleum minister hailed it as a golden day for the country. Our very own Anshu Sharma caught up with the minister, and here's what he had to say about the impact of higher oil prices.
Last 4 days, oil price has started declining. We are concerned about the pinching price. If anything will be decided, we will inform you.
So what is the direction that the government is taking? Will there be any
if
review of daily price revision?
There's no review of daily price mechanism. If anything, for our long-term strategy, if we'll decide, we'll inform you.
Okay. What about BJP ruled states? Kerala is one state which has calibrated its taxes and reduced relief for about 1 rupee for its fuel consumers. What happens to other states where BJP is ruling? Is there any conversation with the states? Because you've been appealing for a very long time with regards to reducing VAT.
Don't be selective. In October, 4 states, not only BJP, some Congress ruled state also reduced their VAT. Kerala has a very high tax regime, and with some additional cess. I am welcoming their move, but don't project in a way that everything has been done by Kerala. I am welcoming their move, but don't project in a way that everything has been done by Kerala. On the very day I have welcomed Kerala. It's up to, in a federal structure, it's up to state. We're again and again appealing to state, you must have also a reasonable and responsible VAT mechanism.
But any other state which has shown interest that they may look at cutting VAT or cess?
We're appealing to them.
And on the other side, how soon can we expect petroleum products to come under GST, and what kind of impact it may have on petrol and diesel?
Again and my sincere appeal to Council, it should become, it's my sincere wish.
All right, with that, let's take a short break. Come back, we'll get you a handle on the cues to watch from the futures and options space. This is the time of the show where we get you an update from whatever is happening in the commodities space. Manisha, good morning. Oil at 75.5. Take it away.
Oh, well, absolutely. 2% of decline in the overnight markets, and we have seen some buying come back in the Asian markets right now, but the pressure is there to be seen. You have seen 8% decline in last 2 weeks, and this week we already are 2% down yet again on the crude oil prices. Well, the pressure comes in from the fact that the U.S. production has been increasing every month. We have seen a new record number every month of this year, and now there are estimates of increase in supplies from OPEC and non-OPEC countries as well. And that is what is putting pressure onto the market. You wouldn't see a collapse really come in for the crude oil prices because there are still a lot of uncertainties. There is the shale bottleneck as well to look at. And of course, the 22nd June meeting is something we will continue to talk about unless it is out of the way. And that would really give you direction for the prices. In the metal space, it really has been about copper and nickel. These two metals have continued to outperform the space. Copper is trading at a 6-week highs in the Shanghai markets right now as well. It is about the wage negotiations in the Escondida mine in Chile, and that has been supportive. Nickel, of course, has seen a lot of strength because of the stainless steel demand, the EV demand, and the supply shortages adding to the premium into that space.
All right, Manisha, thanks a lot for that. We will watch out for all the update coming in from the commodities arena in today's trading session as well. But let's shift focus to the F&O space then. Yesterday, well, the Nifty did decline below the 20-day moving average, but there were some signs of hope in the futures and options space. Why do I say that? Well, because the FIs, they bought in index futures. About 550 crores worth purchased by the FIs in index futures. and most of that was on account of purchasing some 5,000 long contracts and covering some short contracts. So the FIs unwound about 1,000 short contracts in index futures, so some profit taking by the short. So we'll keep an eye out on how that trend pans out, because the FIs are still net short. About 45% is their long exposure. There was some selling in index options as well. Majority of that selling was on account of index calls, which created some hurdles at the upside. But remember, we saw some additions in short index puts as well, and we saw some purchase in index puts, perhaps for a downside protection. So where was the most amount of action? In the 10,600 put as well as the 10,700 call. So those are markers we will watch out for. And there was short covering in individual stocks, the likes of Sales, Sun TV and Dr. Reddy's. A few shots added on PC Jeweler. With that, it's a wrap on Power Breakfast, but we leave you with the picks of all our Bullseye contestants for day 2 of the week. Stay tuned to CNBC TV 18. Bazaar Morning Call comes up next.
My first call today is a buy call in L&T Technology Services with stop loss below 1295 for target around 1430. My second pick is a buy call in Pfizer with stop loss below 2530 for target around 2730. My third call is a sell call in IDFC Limited with stop loss above 49.20 for target of 45. And my last call is a sell call in Federal Bank with stop loss above 83.25 for target around 77.
First stock for today on the buy side is going to be Jubilant Food, and long positions can be created in this stock, keeping a stop loss of 2480 for the target of 2753. Next stock on the buy side is going to be First Source Limited, and stop loss for First Source Limited has to be kept around the zone of 74.30 for the target of 82.50. Another stock is on the short side is PTC India, and one can short PTC futures at CMP, keeping a stop loss of 83.30 for the target of 74.60 on the downside. And the final call on the short side is going to be Kajaria Ceramics. One can short Kajaria Ceramics futures, keeping a stop loss of 530 for the target of 474.80.
Ashok Leyland, sell with a stop of 149 for targets of 140. LIC, buy with a stop of 470 for targets of 520. Bank of India, buy with a stop of 92 for targets of 104. And SAIL, buy with a stop of 73 for targets of 81.